Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is the cost of a single text message? Not in dollars, not in cents, but in respect, in attraction, in the value of who you are. One message, one careless choice of words can lift your worth, or it can quietly destroy it. And the truth is this: the texts you send are not just words on a screen. They are reflections of your identity. They reveal the strength of your self-respect, or they expose the cracks of insecurity you're still carrying. Every day, people underestimate the power of a simple text. They think it's casual. They think it's harmless. But here's the reality. Human beings are constantly reading between the lines, especially the kind of men you call high value. They don't just see the words, they see the meaning behind them. They see whether you are confident or whether you are desperate. They see whether you are stable or whether you are lost in chaos. And in that moment, silently, without telling you, they decide, is this someone I want to give my time, my energy, my life to? Or is this someone I walk away from? Think about that for a second, because it means that every message you send is a mirror that shows exactly how you see yourself. Do you see yourself as worthy of love, as a person with high standards, calm confidence, and emotional strength? Or do you see yourself as someone who needs constant reassurance, constant attention, constant validation? If you've ever wondered why some people seem to lose respect so quickly, why a promising connection suddenly fades away without warning, the answer is often hidden in the small things. The texts, the tone, the words you choose when you think no one is paying attention. That's where value is either built or destroyed. Here's the hard truth. A high-value man does not just fall for your looks. He does not just care about how you dress or how you smile. What really matters is how you carry yourself when no one is watching, how you speak, how you write, how you express yourself under pressure, because those little actions reveal whether you are someone who can be trusted with his time, his energy, and his future. And let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. The wrong texts don't just make you look careless, they make you look replaceable. High-value men are not short on options. They live in a world where attention is abundant, but they are constantly searching for something rare. Someone who carries herself with dignity, someone who doesn't need to play games, someone who doesn't beg for scraps of attention because she already knows her worth. Now pause and ask yourself, what message are you sending to the world about your worth? Are your texts showing strength, or are they silently broadcasting weakness? Because deep inside, you already know the answer. You can feel it when you press send. You can feel the energy behind the words, and you can feel the regret when you realize you've said too much too soon in the wrong way. But here's the good news. Awareness changes everything. The fact that you are here listening to these words already means you are searching for growth. And I promise you this, if you stay with me until the end of this video, you will not only understand the texts that push high-value men away, you will also discover the kind of energy, the kind of communication that makes them stay, that makes them respect you, that makes them fight to keep you in their life. That is the reward waiting for you. The clarity that could transform not only your relationships, but the way you see yourself. So listen closely, because this is not about controlling others. This is not about tricks or tactics or manipulation. This is about something far more powerful. It's about becoming a person of strength, a person who doesn't need to chase because her energy already commands respect, a person who doesn't have to beg because her presence alone is valuable. Ask yourself this: how many times have you sent a message you wish you could take back? How many times have you replayed the words in your head, wondering if they made you look desperate? How many times have you felt the sting of silence on the other end and questioned your own worth? That pain is not random. It's your soul telling you that something has to change, and that change begins here, with your awareness, with your decision to stop giving away your value through careless words, with your commitment to learn what strengthens attraction instead of destroying it. So stay until the end, because by the time you finish this, you will see texting and yourself in a completely different light. You will understand why high-value men think the way they do, and, more importantly, how you can rise to their level by protecting your own worth. This is your chance to transform the way you connect. Don't let it slip. If words can build empires and destroy kingdoms, then never underestimate what your words can do in your own life. Every sentence you send is a reflection of your inner world. Every message you type tells a story about who you are, how you see yourself, and what you expect from others. And make no mistake, people can feel it. They may not analyze it consciously, but deep down their mind registers everything. Communication is not just about transferring information. It is about transferring energy. When you send a text filled with calm confidence, it carries stability. It makes the other person feel secure. But when you send a text soaked in insecurity, it carries anxiety. And that energy pushes people away faster than silence ever could. Think about this. Human beings are wired to pick up on hidden signals. We are not just reading words, we are decoding emotions. When someone says, "I'm fine," but the tone is heavy, you feel the truth behind it. When someone sends a long, desperate explanation, you sense the fear beneath it. This is psychology. This is instinct. And this is why the texts you send matter more than you realize. A high-value man is not simply reading your words. He is reading your mindset. He is asking without asking, does this person respect herself? Does she believe in her own worth? Or is she leaning on me to give her the validation she can't give herself? And in seconds, his mind makes a decision. Attraction grows stronger, or it disappears completely. This is the silent power of communication. And here is what you must understand. Silence can sometimes speak louder than words. Not responding immediately can show patience. Writing less can show strength. Choosing your words carefully shows that you value yourself enough not to rush, not to panic, not to hand over your peace in exchange for attention. Most people think communication is about saying more, but the truth is the most powerful communication often comes from saying less, but saying it with clarity. Short, calm, respectful messages carry more weight than long paragraphs begging to be understood. Because clarity is attractive, respect is attractive, confidence is attractive. On the other hand, confusion, chaos, and emotional flooding are signals of weakness. They reveal that you are not in control of your emotions. And here is the reality. If you cannot control your own emotions, how can anyone trust you to handle the storms of a relationship? A high-value man knows this. That is why he pays attention to how you speak, how you write, how you express yourself. He is not looking for perfection. He is looking for stability. And stability is rare. Most people are ruled by their impulses. They text back in anger. They double text in fear. They send essays in desperation, and then they wonder why respect is lost. But those who understand the power of communication know this. Every word is a choice. Every text is either a deposit into the bank of respect or a withdrawal that empties it. Ask yourself, are you building respect with the way you communicate, or are you slowly draining it? Because communication is not neutral. It always moves things forward or backward. It always strengthens or weakens attraction. There is no middle ground. Now consider this. Why do leaders, great thinkers, and people of influence always weigh their words carefully? Because they understand that words shape perception, and perception shapes destiny. The same applies to you. If you want to be seen as valuable, you must communicate with value. If you want to be respected, you must send messages that carry respect. This is not about playing games. It is not about holding back emotions to appear mysterious. It is about aligning your words with your true worth. It is about speaking from a place of calm self-respect, not emotional chaos. It is about remembering that every time you send a message, you are telling the world, this is who I am. And here lies the most important truth. When you communicate with strength, you don't just attract high-value men. You attract high-value relationships, friendships built on mutual respect, or opportunities that come because people trust your energy. Doors open because people sense that you are not reckless with your words. You carry yourself with discipline, and discipline is magnetic. So let this sink deep into your mind. Your communication is your signature. It reveals everything about you. It tells the world whether you value yourself or whether you are still searching for someone else to give you value. And the more you respect your own words, the more the world begins to respect you in return. Protect your words, protect your tone, protect your energy, because once spoken, once sent, they can never be taken back. And in those words, people will decide if you are worth chasing or if you are just another message they scroll past. That is the power of communication. And when you master it, you will not have to beg for respect. You will not have to chase for attention. Respect will follow you. Attention will find you. And the right people, the high-value ones, will stay. If you truly want to understand why the words you send matter, you must first understand the mind of a high-value man. His psychology is different. His standards are different. And unless you know what drives him, you will always wonder why your efforts fail, why your texts are ignored, or why interest fades so quickly. A high-value man is not impressed by surface-level attraction alone. Beauty may catch his eye, but it is character that captures his respect. He has seen enough to know that charm without depth quickly turns empty. He has lived enough to understand that external appearance fades, but inner strength endures. What he is searching for is not just someone who looks good by his side, but someone who carries herself with dignity, stability, and strength. That is why communication matters so deeply, because every text you send either aligns you with the kind of person he seeks, or places you among the countless people he filters out without hesitation. The psychology of a high-value man is shaped by discipline. He is disciplined in his work, his goals, his habits, and his vision. And because he holds himself to higher standards, he naturally expects the same from those he allows into his inner circle. When he reads your words, he is not only looking for interest, he is looking for reflection. Does your communication reflect confidence? Or does it reveal chaos? Does it show respect? Or does it whisper insecurity? Understand this. A man of value is not looking for perfection. He knows no one is perfect, but he is searching for stability. He is searching for someone who can handle the weight of life without collapsing into neediness at every turn. When he senses drama, manipulation, or desperation, his instincts push him away. Not because he is cold, but because he knows that carrying another person's emotional instability is too heavy a price to pay. Think of it this way. High-value men live with purpose. Their days are filled with challenges, responsibilities, and goals. They are constantly moving forward. So when they choose a partner, they are not seeking someone who adds more chaos to their path. They are seeking someone who brings calm into the storm, someone who steadies them, not shakes them, someone whose presence is not demanding, but grounding. This is why the wrong text can ruin everything. Because your words are not just words, they are signals. They reveal whether you will be a source of peace or a source of stress. And a man of value chooses peace every time. Now let's go deeper. A high-value man sees relationships as partnerships, not rescues. He does not want to be your savior. He wants to be your equal. He is drawn to women who respect themselves, who carry themselves with grace, who do not depend on him for their sense of worth. When you send messages that scream neediness, begging for attention, demanding reassurance, you are telling him, I cannot stand strong on my own. And that is exactly what makes him walk away. But when your communication shows strength, when you can express interest without desperation, when you can engage without begging, when you can give without demanding, you are telling him, I am whole, and I choose to share my strength with you. That is what keeps his respect. That is what makes him see you not as an option, but as a priority. Psychology teaches us that people are naturally drawn to balance. Too much pressure, and they pull away, or too much distance, and they lose interest. The secret lies in communicating with calm consistency without falling into extremes. High-value men notice this balance. They notice when you can show interest without chasing. They notice when you can set boundaries without hostility. They notice when your words carry both kindness and self-respect. And here is a truth many ignore. Attraction is not built in the grand moments. It is built in the small patterns. It is built in the way you say good morning, in the way you respond to silence, in the way you handle disagreement. High-value men are constantly watching these small cues because those small moments reveal the bigger truth, your character. So, if you want to understand why some women capture the heart of strong, disciplined men while others are forgotten, look closely at the psychology behind it. High-value men are not running from commitment. They are running from instability. They are not avoiding love. They are avoiding chaos. And they are not dismissing women carelessly. They are filtering out the ones who do not respect themselves enough to communicate with dignity. Ask yourself now, what do your texts reveal about you? Do they reveal confidence? Or do they expose fear? Do they show patience? Or do they reveal panic? Because in those answers lies the truth of why you attract or repel the kind of men you desire. Remember this, respect is not demanded. It is earned through the way you carry yourself. And the psychology of a high-value man will always lead him to choose the woman who already respects herself long before she asks him to respect her. That is the key. That is the foundation. And once you grasp it, you will begin to see that communication is not about words alone. It is about energy. It is about discipline. And it is about the message beneath the message, the silent signal that says, I know who I am. I know my worth. And I do not need to prove it to anyone. That is what a high-value man is drawn to. Not perfection, not performance, but presence. The presence of someone who has already built herself strong from within. There is one mistake that silently destroys attraction more than almost anything else: chasing. And chasing often shows up in the simplest way, through the texts you send. At first, it feels harmless. You want to stay connected, you want a response, you want to feel reassured. But the truth is, when your words begin to chase, your value begins to fall. Why? Because chasing sends a clear signal: my time is less valuable than yours. My attention depends on your approval. My peace depends on your reply. And the moment that message is felt, respect begins to fade. A high-value man can sense when your texts are not rooted in calm confidence, but in fear of being ignored. Double texting, over-explaining, or constantly checking in are all forms of chasing. They say to him, without you realizing it, I am not enough unless you validate me. And here is the brutal reality. No person of value is drawn to someone who does not see their own worth first. Chasing texts are fueled by insecurity. They come from the part of your mind that cannot handle silence, the part that believes. No reply means rejection, the part that panics when you don't have control. But pause for a moment and think, what does silence really mean? Does it always mean rejection? Or does it sometimes mean the person is busy, focused, living their own life? When you rush to fill that silence with chasing messages, you are not only interrupting their space, you are revealing that you lack the patience and confidence to hold your ground. Psychology shows us something powerful. The more we chase, the less others value what we give. Human nature is wired this way. When something is too available, too easy to get, it loses its worth. But when something is rare, disciplined, and not easily shaken, it commands attention. This is why chasing texts never work, because they tell the other person, you don't have to earn me. I'm already giving myself away. Now ask yourself, what kind of energy do you want to project? The energy of someone who stands strong, calm, unshaken, or the energy of someone who cannot sit in silence for even a moment without scrambling to prove they belong? Your answer to this question will decide how others see you. The danger of chasing is not just that it makes you look needy, it actually creates imbalance. Relationships thrive on mutual respect, on equal give and take. But when one person chases, the balance breaks. The chaser gives too much, and the other receives too much. And when balance is broken, attraction withers. High-value men do not run from communication. They appreciate effort. But they can instantly sense the difference between genuine effort and desperate chasing. Effort is reaching out with confidence, expecting nothing in return, grounded in your own worth. Chasing is reaching out with fear, begging for reassurance, and handing over your self-respect in the process. Here's the truth. Many people avoid. You cannot force someone to value you by sending more messages. You cannot demand respect through endless words. The more you push, the more they pull away. The more you chase, the more they retreat. Because attraction is not built through pressure. It is built through presence, through calmness, through the strength to say, I will not lower my value just to fill a silence. Think about the strongest people you know. They do not run after attention. They do not beg to be noticed. They know their worth so deeply that silence does not scare them. Their energy speaks louder than any words could. That is what makes them magnetic. That is what makes others lean in instead of pull away. If you want to hold the respect of a high-value man, you must learn the art of restraint. You must learn that not every silence needs to be filled. Not every delay is rejection. Not every unread message is a reason to panic. Sometimes silence is your greatest ally because it shows you are not desperate. It shows you are steady. It shows you can handle life without needing someone else to validate you every second. The next time you feel the urge to chase with your words, pause, breathe, ask yourself, am I texting from strength or am I texting from fear? That single question can change everything. If it is fear, stop. If it is strength, speak with clarity, with calmness, with dignity. And remember this, strength is attractive. Desperation is not. Chasing may seem like it keeps someone close, but in reality, it pushes them away. Restraint may feel risky, but in reality, it draws the right ones nearer. And when you master this balance, you will see something powerful. You will no longer have to chase because the right people will chase you. That is the secret. That is the truth. And once you embody it, you will never again waste your value on chasing texts that only drain your worth. Instead, you will stand still, strong, calm, And in that stillness, the right ones will come. Closer, not because you begged them to, but because your strength left them no choice. There is another mistake that silently destroys trust and attraction, the jealousy test. It often shows up as a playful remark, a subtle hint, or a deliberate attempt to make someone feel insecure. At first, it may feel clever. You may think it proves that they care, that it shows their level of interest. But the reality is this: jealousy games are not signs of strength. They are signs of fear. The psychology behind jealousy is simple. It comes from insecurity. It is the belief that if you can spark jealousy, you can secure attention. But here is the truth. High-value men do not fall for games. They do not see jealousy as proof of love. They see it as proof of instability. Imagine receiving a text designed to provoke, a comment about another man, a comparison, or a story meant to trigger doubt. What message does that really send? It says, I do not trust my own value enough. I need to manipulate your emotions to feel secure. And for a man who respects himself, that is an instant warning sign. High-value men live with clarity. They have no time for manipulation. They are drawn to relationships built on trust, not games. So when they sense jealousy tactics, they do not lean in closer. They step back because they understand something crucial. Jealousy may spark reaction, but it never builds respect. And without respect, there is no lasting connection. The jealousy test also creates damage deeper than you may realize. It plants seeds of doubt. It makes the other person question your loyalty, your maturity, and your intentions. Even if they do not confront you directly, their trust in you weakens. And once trust begins to crack, it rarely returns to its original strength. Think about it. What is the purpose of trying to make someone jealous? It is not to build love. It is to control. It is to measure their reaction, to test their emotions, to see how much they care. But love is not measured by how angry someone gets. It is measured by how safe, respected, and understood they feel with you. And a high-value man knows this truth well. The strongest people do not need to play games to prove their worth. They do not need to create chaos to feel important. They know that real attraction is not forced. It is earned through presence, consistency, and character. And when they encounter jealousy tests, they see it clearly, not as charm, but as insecurity hiding behind words. Now pause and ask yourself, what does it say about your own mindset when you use jealousy as a tool? It reveals fear of being replaced. It reveals doubt in your own uniqueness. It reveals that instead of standing tall in your value, you are trying to shake someone else's foundation just to feel secure. That is not strength. That is weakness disguised as cleverness. High-value men are not drawn to weakness. They are drawn to balance, to maturity, to emotional control. When you text with jealousy, you send the opposite message. You tell him you cannot trust without testing. You tell him you cannot love without games. And eventually you tell him, without realizing, that you are not ready for the kind of relationship he is building. The irony is this: jealousy does not keep someone close. It pushes them further away. At first, it may grab attention. It may spark reaction. But attention born from manipulation does not last. It drains both sides. It creates distance. And it teaches the other person to guard themselves instead of opening up more. If you want to capture the respect of a high-value man, you must replace jealousy with confidence. Instead of trying to test him, trust him. Instead of trying to provoke him, inspire him. Instead of sending texts that create doubt, send words that build certainty. Because certainty is rare, and that is what truly attracts. Remember, strength is not proven by how much you can control someone else's emotions. Strength is proven by how well you can control your own. A strong woman does not need to test. She does not need to provoke. She already knows her worth, and she knows that if someone cannot see it, they were never meant to stay. The next time you feel tempted to send a text designed to make him jealous, stop and remind yourself, this is not who I am. My value does not need tricks. My worth does not need games. Stand in that power, stand in that calmness, because the moment you stop testing and start trusting, you stop losing respect and start gaining it. Jealousy may feel like a weapon, but it only harms the one who wields it. Confidence, on the other hand, is unshakable. It draws people in without force. It builds respect without effort, and it creates the kind of bond that no game could ever manufacture. That is the truth. That is the standard. And once you embrace it, you will never again waste your energy on tests that only reveal your own fears. You will instead build trust that lasts, respect that deepens, and attraction that grows stronger with every word you send. There is a quiet form of communication that seems innocent, but it slowly erodes respect. It is the validation-seeking text. At first, it may look like simple curiosity, a quick question, a small check-in, but underneath it carries a weight, a request for reassurance, a plea to, or be noticed, a hidden question that asks, am I good enough for you? Validation-seeking texts come in many forms. Do you still like me? Are you upset with me? Did I do something wrong? These are the words of someone searching outside themselves for worth, instead of standing firm in their own confidence. And the truth is this, nothing drains attraction faster than someone who does not believe in their own value. A high-value man is not drawn to constant need. He is not looking for someone who demands reassurance in every moment of silence. He is searching for someone secure enough to handle space, someone confident enough to trust without constant proof. When you send validation-seeking texts, you unknowingly communicate the opposite. You send the message, I cannot feel complete without your approval. My mood depends on your response. My peace depends on your validation. And here is the danger. When your worth depends on another person's confirmation, you hand over your power, or you make them responsible for your emotions. You place your identity in their hands. And the moment you do that, you lose the very respect you are hoping to gain. Psychology teaches us that human beings are naturally drawn to strength, not perfection, not coldness, but strength, the ability to hold steady under pressure. When someone is always seeking validation, it signals instability. It says, I do not trust myself. I need you to carry me. And while a man of value may have compassion, he will not build a life with someone who refuses to build herself. Think about it. If every silence feels like rejection, if every unanswered message feels like abandonment, if every disagreement feels like the end, what does that say about your own foundation? It says you are building your value on shifting sand instead of solid ground. And a high-value man cannot stand on shaky ground. He seeks someone whose confidence runs deep enough to remain steady even when the waves of life rise. Validation-seeking texts also create the very outcome you fear. The more you ask for reassurance, the more pressure you place on the other person. And the more pressure they feel, the less freedom they have to love you naturally. Love cannot breathe under constant questioning. Respect cannot grow under constant doubt. Attraction cannot survive under constant testing. But when you communicate with calm confidence, when you trust without demanding proof, you create space for love to grow, or you create an environment where respect is natural, not forced. You show that you are not clinging to them for your worth, but sharing your worth with them freely. And that is what draws a high-value man closer. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, why do you seek validation? It is not because you truly need the answer. It is because you fear the silence. You fear the unknown. You fear that without constant proof, you may lose everything. But here is the truth you must accept. Love is not strengthened by fear. It is strengthened by trust. And if you do not trust yourself, you will never be able to trust anyone else. The most attractive people are not those who demand constant validation. They are those who validate themselves. They are those who can say, I know my worth, and I do not need every silence to be filled, every delay to be explained, every emotion to be confirmed. That inner strength is magnetic. That kind of confidence cannot be ignored. Remember, you cannot demand love through questions. You cannot force respect through pleading. You cannot earn security by constantly asking if it exists. All of these things, love, respect, security, are not given to those who chase them. They are drawn to those who embody them. So the next time you feel the urge to send a validation-seeking text, pause, breathe, remind yourself, my value is not measured by their response. My worth is not defined by their words. I am complete with or without confirmation. When you begin to live from that truth, you will stop chasing reassurance and start radiating confidence. And when that confidence shines, something powerful happens. You stop pushing people away with pressure. You stop suffocating attraction with insecurity. Instead, you create space. Space where love can grow naturally, where respect flows without being forced, where a high-value man sees not just your beauty, but your strength. Because in the end, strength is what keeps someone close. Not fear, not pleading, not endless requests for validation. Strength, the quiet, steady assurance that you are enough even in silence, even in uncertainty, even in the moments when no words are spoken. That is the truth. That is the standard. And once you embrace it, you will never again hand your worth to someone else's reply. You will carry it within you, unshakable, undeniable, and impossible to ignore. There is a weight that pushes even the strongest connections apart, a weight that suffocates attraction, drains energy, and quietly convinces people to step back. That weight is negative energy, and it often shows up in the form of messages filled with complaints, anger, frustration, or bitterness. These are the texts that do not invite closeness. They push it away. The negative energy dump is when you use texting as a way to unload your emotions without control. Or maybe it is a complaint about your day. Maybe it is anger at something small. Maybe it is frustration that spills out in rapid-fire words. At the moment, it feels like release, but to the one receiving it, it feels heavy. It feels draining. It feels like a burden they did not ask to carry. Understand this. Every time you communicate, you are either giving energy or taking it. You are either uplifting or draining. And people, by nature, are drawn to those who give more than they take. A high-value man, especially, is highly aware of energy. His life is already filled with challenges, responsibilities, and battles of his own. When your messages are constantly loaded with negativity, you do not become a source of peace. You become another storm. And storms, no matter how passionate, are not sustainable. Think about how you feel when you receive a negative message. Your body reacts instantly. Your energy shifts. Your mood drops. Words carry weight. And the more negative they are, the heavier they become. So when texting becomes a constant outlet for complaints, criticisms, or emotional outbursts, it creates an invisible wall, a wall that slowly pushes someone away even if they cannot explain why. This does not mean you should never express your emotions. Healthy communication requires honesty, but there is a difference between expressing and dumping. Expressing is sharing your feelings with balance, clarity, and respect. Dumping is unloading every frustration without control, demanding that the other person carry it with you. One builds trust, the other destroys it. High-value men are not afraid of emotions. They respect honesty. But they are not attracted to chaos. They are not drawn to constant negativity. They are not inspired by words that always carry complaint instead of gratitude. When your texts become a constant echo of what is wrong, what is missing, what is frustrating, they reveal something deeper, that you have not yet learned to regulate your own emotions. And emotional instability is one of the fastest ways to lose respect. Psychology makes this clear. Human beings crave stability. We want people around us who bring peace, not drama. We want partners who can share their struggles, yes, but also who know how to balance them with strength, optimism, and calmness. Negative energy texts do the opposite. They overwhelm. They drown the relationship in heaviness. They replace attraction with exhaustion. Now pause and reflect. How often do you reach for your phone when you are upset, angry, or disappointed? How often do you send words you later regret? Words that were more about your mood in the moment than your true feelings. This is the danger of the negative energy dump. It turns temporary emotions into permanent scars on a relationship. High-value men do not want perfection. They are not expecting endless cheerfulness, but they are searching for resilience. They are searching for someone who can feel deeply without losing control. Someone who can handle difficulty without projecting it in destructive ways. Because resilience is rare. And resilience is what creates trust. Imagine instead the difference it makes when you choose to pause before sending that angry or frustrated message. When you choose to breathe, to reflect, to regain your calm before you communicate. That pause is not weakness, it is strength. It shows maturity. It shows emotional control. It shows that you are not ruled by every passing wave of emotion. The most attractive people are not those who never face struggles. They are those who handle struggles with grace. They are those who can communicate their pain without drowning others in it. They are those who can say, I am upset, but I am still grounded. I am hurting, but I am still whole. That energy is magnetic. That energy invites closeness instead of pushing it away. So the next time you feel the urge to unleash negativity through your words, stop and ask yourself, will this message build connection or will it break it? Will it bring us closer or will it create distance? That single moment of reflection can save you from sending words that cannot be taken back. Because here is the truth. Respect is built when you can control what others cannot, when you can master your own emotions, even when they try to master you, when you can choose to communicate with strength instead of chaos. That is what draws a high-value man near. That is what makes him trust you. That is what makes him stay. Negative energy may feel powerful in the moment, but it destroys in the long run. Positive energy, balanced with honesty, builds something lasting. And when you learn to master that balance, you will no longer push people away with the storms of your emotions. You will instead become the calm in the storm, the steady presence that every high-value man seeks. If destructive texts can push respect away, then the right kind of communication can pull it closer. The key is not silence, and it is not pretending you have no emotions. The key is learning how to speak with strength, with clarity, and with balance. The difference between losing someone's respect and earning it often comes down to the words you choose and the energy you send with them. What should you do instead of sending desperate, negative, or validation-seeking texts? You shift your focus. You step into a higher standard of communication, one that reflects confidence, self-respect, and emotional maturity. Because the truth is this, every message you send is either a mirror of your strength or a reflection of your insecurity. And people always feel it, even if they don't analyze it. Start with gratitude. Gratitude is not weakness, it is power. A simple message of appreciation changes the energy instantly. Instead of saying, "Why didn't you text me back?" Try, "I hope your day is going well. I appreciate the time you share with me." Do you see the difference? One chases, one pressures, the other invites and uplifts. Gratitude is magnetic because it shifts the focus away from lack and toward abundance. And human psychology is wired to respond more positively to those who make us feel valued, not accused. Then practice restraint. Not every thought needs to be typed. Not every feeling needs to be expressed in the moment. Strength is often found in holding back, in waiting until your emotions have settled, in choosing clarity over impulse. When you take the time to filter your words, you show maturity. You show that you value the connection enough to protect it from temporary storms. Another powerful shift is to communicate with vision. Instead of dwelling on what is missing, speak life into what could be. Instead of sending negativity, send encouragement. Instead of pointing out flaws, highlight strengths. When your words carry vision, they inspire. And inspiration is far more attractive than complaint will ever be. A high-value man is drawn to someone who adds to his strength, not someone who constantly drains it. So when your messages reflect optimism, self-respect, and calmness, you stand out. You become the kind of presence that uplifts instead of weighs down. This is not about being fake or pretending life is perfect. It is about choosing to lead with strength instead of fear. And here is another truth. Sometimes the most powerful message is no message at all. Silence, when used wisely, communicates confidence. It shows that you are not desperate for attention, that your peace is not dependent on instant replies. It communicates patience. It communicates self-control. And those qualities are rare. That is why they are respected. But silence should never be used as manipulation. It should be rooted in strength, not in games. When you choose not to send a negative or desperate text, it is not to punish. It is to protect. Protect the connection. Protect your dignity. Protect the energy between you. This is the kind of silence that speaks louder than 1,000 desperate words ever could. Now consider this. What if every message you sent was a reflection of your highest self? What if your words always carried the energy of someone secure, someone grateful, someone forward-looking? What if your text became not demands for reassurance, but invitations to connection? That alone would separate you from the crowd. That alone would show a high-value man that you are not clinging, you are choosing. And there is a massive difference between those two energies, because clinging says, "I need you to complete me." Choosing says, "I am already complete, and I welcome you into my strength." And that is irresistible. The real secret is that you do not need to over-explain, over-apologize, or over-seek. You need only to communicate from a place of wholeness. When you are whole, your texts reflect balance. They are calm instead of frantic, clear instead of confusing, uplifting instead of draining. And people remember the way you make them feel long after they forget the exact words you said. So choose wisely, choose strength, or choose gratitude, choose restraint, choose vision. These choices may seem small in the moment, but they build massive trust over time. They tell the other person, you are safe with me. You will not be crushed under my insecurities. You will not be suffocated by my negativity. I am strong enough to carry myself and strong enough to stand beside you. That is what makes someone unforgettable. That is what makes someone stand out. Because while others are busy chasing, begging, and demanding, you are building, uplifting, and leading. That is the difference between a fleeting attraction and a lasting connection. And remember this, your words are not just communication. They are a reflection of your identity. Every message you send is proof of what you believe about yourself. So if you want to be treated as valuable, your words must reflect that value. If you want respect, your words must carry respect. If you want strength, your words must embody strength. This is how you rise above. This is how you separate yourself from the noise. This is how you become not just another person in someone's inbox, but the one who cannot be ignored. Attraction is not an accident. It is not luck. It is not random. Attraction follows patterns, and those patterns are deeply rooted in human psychology. The way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you communicate, all of it creates either pull or push. And when you understand the psychology of attraction, you stop chasing and start drawing. You stop begging for attention and begin commanding respect without ever asking for it. At its core, attraction is built on energy. Every human being is tuned to respond to certain signals. Confidence, stability, gratitude, and vision create signals that the mind reads as strong, safe, and valuable. Desperation, chaos, negativity, and neediness create signals that the mind reads as unstable, unsafe, and draining. And our brains are wired to move toward what feels strong and away from what feels heavy. Think about it. Why do some people walk into a room and instantly command attention without saying a single word? It is not their clothes. It is not their looks. It is their energy. They project confidence without arrogance, calmness without apathy, strength without aggression. That energy is magnetic. The same truth applies in texting. The words you send are like invisible energy waves. They either lift or lower, attract or repel. Psychologists often speak of the principle of scarcity. What is rare is valuable. What is abundant is often taken for granted. This is why restraint in communication is so powerful. When you do not flood someone with constant messages, when you hold your presence with dignity, you create scarcity, and scarcity sparks desire. It tells the mind this person values their own time, so their attention must be earned. That is why silence, when rooted in strength, can often create more attraction than 1,000 needy words ever could. Another principle is reciprocity. Human beings are wired to give back what they receive. If you send energy filled with gratitude, optimism, and encouragement, the other person feels compelled to respond in kind. But if you send negativity, complaints, or desperate need for validation, the mind unconsciously resists. Instead of leaning in, it begins to lean away. Attraction is never forced, it is invited. Then there is the principle of unpredictability. Not chaos, but mystery. Predictability creates comfort, but mystery creates spark. Someone can guess every word you will send. If every message is predictable in its desperation, interest fades. But if your words carry depth, if your presence holds a balance of warmth and restraint, curiosity grows. And curiosity is one of the strongest fuels of attraction. But beneath all these principles lies one truth. Attraction begins within. You cannot project what you do not possess. If you are not secure within yourself, your words will always carry the weight of insecurity. If you are not at peace within your mind, your texts will always reveal chaos. If you do not value yourself, no matter how carefully you type, the energy of neediness will bleed through. This is why the highest form of attraction is not strategy, it is identity. When you build yourself into someone who is strong, calm, resilient, and grateful, you no longer have to force attraction. You embody it. You radiate it. It becomes natural. High-value people are drawn to you because you reflect the qualities they already live by. Consider this. When you text from a place of desperation, your mind is saying, I am not enough. I need you to fill me. But when you text from a place of strength, your mind is saying, I am already whole. I welcome you into my strength. The difference is profound. One repels, the other attracts. One drains, the other inspires. And inspiration is the foundation of lasting connection. Attraction psychology also teaches us that people remember emotions more than words. They might forget the exact message you sent, but they will never forget how it made them feel. Did your words bring calm or chaos? Did they inspire or drain? Did they create curiosity or smother it? These questions matter more than the length of the message, the timing, or the phrasing. The emotion behind your words is what leaves the deepest mark. High-value men are especially sensitive to this. They are often surrounded by people who want something from them. They are approached with neediness, flattery, or demands. But what captures their attention is rarity, and rarity is found in emotional strength. A message that carries balance, optimism, and peace stands out because it is uncommon. It is rare to meet someone who is not ruled by insecurity. It is rare to meet someone who communicates with calm confidence instead of emotional storms. That rarity is what makes you unforgettable. So when you think about attraction, think beyond words. Think energy. Think psychology. Think identity. Because attraction is not built in clever lines. It is built in the unseen signals you send with every word. When your presence communicates strength, when your words carry balance, when your energy radiates gratitude, attraction is not forced. It flows. This is why chasing never works. This is why desperation always fails. Because human psychology cannot be tricked. The mind knows when words are coming from fear, and fear never inspires. But when your communication flows from security, from calmness, from gratitude, the mind recognizes strength. And strength always attracts. Attraction is not a game. It is not about manipulation or tricks. It is about becoming the kind of person whose energy naturally pulls others in. When you embody that strength, you will never need to beg for attention. You will never need to fight for respect. You will never need to fear being abandoned, because your presence itself becomes magnetic. That is the true psychology of attraction. It begins with who you are, and it radiates through everything you do, even down to the texts you send. Attraction may open the door, but respect is what keeps it open. Anyone can spark interest for a moment, but lasting connection is built on something deeper: consistency, dignity, and the quiet strength of character. If attraction is the flame, respect is the oxygen. Without it, the fire dies. And if you want to build something meaningful with a high-value man or with anyone of true strength, respect must become the foundation of everything you do. Respect begins with how you carry yourself. It begins with the way you treat yourself when nobody is watching. Because here is the truth. People can sense whether you respect yourself, even if you never say it. They notice it in your boundaries, in your silence, in the way you respond to challenges. They feel it in your communication. A person who respects themselves does not beg, does not chase, does not lower their standards to keep someone else close. Instead, they move with calm strength. And that strength commands respect from others without ever asking for it. Building lasting respect is about alignment. Your words, your actions, your energy, they must align. If you speak about dignity but send desperate texts, there is no alignment. If you demand respect from others but do not show it in your tone, there is no alignment. People trust what is consistent. Respect grows when your actions reflect your words. Consistency is rare, and that rarity builds credibility. Connection, on the other hand, grows through emotional safety. A high-value man or any person of substance does not want to live inside constant drama, fear, or accusation. They want peace. They want to know that being around you makes them stronger, not weaker. That texting you brings calm, not chaos. That speaking with you lifts their spirit instead of draining it. This is not about being perfect. It is about becoming a safe place. And in a world full of noise, safety is magnetic. Think of it like this. Every interaction is either a deposit or a withdrawal. Every word you send either invests in the connection or takes away from it. Respect grows when you invest more than you withdraw, when you build more than you break, when you encourage more than you complain. Over time, these small investments compound into something unshakable. That is how trust is built. That is how respect is sustained. Lasting connection is also built on boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors. They show others how to treat you, and they show yourself that you are worth protecting. Without boundaries, respect fades because people cannot value what you do not value yourself. With boundaries, respect grows because people understand that your self-worth is not negotiable. And when you enforce boundaries with calmness instead of anger, you project strength without aggression. That strength is unforgettable. Another pillar of lasting connection is growth. Attraction may draw two people together, but growth keeps them moving forward. If your words, your actions, your presence push both you and the other person to become better, the connection never grows stale. It becomes a source of inspiration instead of obligation. People remain where they feel they are growing. And the ability to spark growth in someone else is one of the highest forms of respect you can give. But here lies the deepest truth. Respect is not built in moments of ease. It is built in moments of difficulty. Anyone can send kind words when things are perfect, but lasting respect comes when you remain calm in conflict, when you hold dignity in disappointment, when you choose understanding over impulse. These moments reveal who you really are. And it is in these moments that respect either deepens or dies. Ask yourself, do your words build bridges or burn them? Do your texts create clarity or confusion? Do your actions inspire trust or suspicion? These are not small questions. They are the foundation of lasting connection. Because connection without respect is fragile. It collapses under pressure. But connection built on respect is unshakable. It weathers storms. It grows stronger through challenges. And here is the paradox. When you stop trying to control someone, you often gain the deepest respect. Because respect cannot be demanded, it can only be inspired. The more you chase it, the further it runs. But when you embody it, when you live it, when you breathe it, people have no choice but to recognize it. That recognition becomes the glue that holds true connections together. So remember this, attraction may spark desire, but respect sustains love. Attraction may ignite curiosity, but respect creates trust. Attraction may get someone's attention, but respect earns their commitment. If you want something real, something lasting, it will never be built on manipulation, games, or fear. It will be built on respect, earned through strength, protected by boundaries, and proven by consistency. Your words are powerful. Your actions are powerful. Your presence is powerful. Use them to create not just moments of attraction, but legacies of respect. Because at the end of the day, it is not the fleeting spark that matters. It is the steady flame. And when you master the psychology of respect, you will not just find connection, you will keep it. You will not just attract, you will inspire. You will not just be noticed, you will be remembered. That is the path to building something that lasts. That is the path to becoming someone who is not only desired, but deeply respected.